Hi everyone, it's Alex from Risk Academy, and today I wanted to talk about my favorite topic, cognitive biases, and do a quick video on why I think it is absolutely critical for the risk managers to know, understand and apply them in their day-to-day work. What the research about cognitive biases and decision making under uncertainty basically means is that there are two parts of the brain that people use when making decisions. One is the unconscious or quick thinking that scientists call, the other one is conscious and slow thinking that the scientists call. And what this means is that whenever there's a situation of high uncertainty, we expect people to kind of switch on their system 2 thinking and apply that, and hence avoid all the pitfalls that are programmed in our brain and all the shortcuts that are programmed in our brain. What happens in reality is that most of the time that does not happen. In fact, the decision makers actually need help and support and need specific tools to switch on that system 2 thinking. It's not happening automatically. And this is where risk managers can provide a lot of value, because one of the biggest battles risk managers face is that they think and operate under the assumption that management already knows what it's doing when making decisions. The decisions are already taking into account all the risks associated, because the managers have been doing this for 15, 20, 30, 50 years already, and they're well experienced, they're very senior people, and that may or may not actually be true. So it's very important for the risk managers to recognize when people say and do things because that is in fact what the reality is, or they say and do things because they've just fallen into one of over 200 cognitive biases that may impact on the decision maker's ability to make those decisions. So the first reason why I feel cognitive biases are very important is that it helps the risk managers to recognize when decision makers are not being properly transparent, or when they use shortcuts and don't apply proper decision-making tools, and hence the risk managers can step in and suggest how the decision-making process can be improved through risk analysis. So that's number one. Number two, why it is important is that most of the risk analysis that we're still using in non-financial companies, to one degree or a lot, depends on human beings, depends on the information received from experts, from decision makers themselves, from external or internal people specializing in a particular area. And what this means is that when you as the risk manager have to rely on opinions, perceptions, and basically anything a human told you, then you need to be able to apply the same methods of quality decision making to your data gathering. You can't, for example, it's absolutely pointless creating a checklist and sending out a checklist to a number of business units collecting information about what the potential risks are. I mean, there are so many cognitive biases that switch on when people do that. It is that you're highly unlikely to receive a reliable information on the end of it. And the same with workshops, for example. Coming into the workshop, when you're trying to gather data on what the risks are, you need to be very mindful about what cognitive biases work in group environments and how they will impact on the interaction, and why people may not necessarily tell you the truth. Not because they want to deceive or lie to the risk manager, but because they've just programmed to say certain things without thinking about the consequences. So for me, cognitive biases and the research on cognitive biases has been absolutely fundamental in shaping the kind of tools I use, the kind of methods I use for risk identification, risk analysis, and the kind of reports I prepare as a result of risk analysis, so I can highlight key factors and key metrics that will influence the decision makers, and I can present the information in a particular way to better be accepted by the decision makers. And I mean, so this is number three. Now, why cognitive biases are important? It's important to understand how people perceive, validate, and process information, and why they may give more value or less value to a particular type of information, so you can better communicate the outcomes of risk analysis. What are your reasons, and have you found knowledge about cognitive biases useful in your career? Do share underneath this video. For now, for me, thank you and goodbye.